Network Entertainment.
Hi, I'm Pio Ontiveros, and this is Let's Talk. On this podcast, what we do is unbox, unpack, and decode things, issues, topics, people also. We talk about people here. For this particular episode, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the Senate. The Senate of the Republic of the Philippines. Now, as the Senate degenerated into a circus and the action in the session hall resembled more drama and theater than legislative work, the families of 14 pre martial law senators came together to issue a statement. Now, that statement was released on June 1st, the day Alan Cayetano and his group, Lauren Legarda, Robin Padilla, Bongo, Pia Cayetano, the Villar siblings, Mark and Camille, Rodante Marcoleta, Joel Villanueva, and Cheese Escudero began a 2-day boycott of the session. Don't forget, by then, Bato de la Rosa had gone back into hiding, and Jinggoy Estrada had surrendered, or, depends on who you talk to, was arrested for plunder charges. Now, the statement was signed by the sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, nephews, or nieces of some of the grand old men and women of Philippine politics. Alejandro Almendras, Jose Pepe Diokno, Eva Estrada Calao, Wenceslao Lagumbay, Genaro Magsaysay, Raul Manglapus, Sergio Osmeña Jr., Ambrosio Padilla, Emmanuel Pelaez, Cipriano Primicias, Francisco Soc Rodrigo, Jovito Jovi Salonga, Lorenzo Sumulong Sr., and Lorenzo Tani or Katani Tanyada. I couldn't have all of them here today, but I think I have a good representative sampling, if you will, parang survey lang, 6 of the 14 signatories in alphabetical order, who we are going to introduce now. So first, of course, Ma'am Maris Diokno, daughter of Senator Jose Pepe W. Diokno, the younger sister of Chel. Older pala, sorry. Maraming naniwala doon. Sorry, Chel. Okay. And then, Ma'am Guy Estrada Claudio. She's the niece of Senator Eva Estrada Calao. Sir Francis Manglapus, the son of Senator Raul Manglapus. King Rodrigo, the son and namesake of Senator Francisco Soc Rodrigo. Sir, we're recording this episode June 15 today, pero birthday nyo kahapon.
Yes.
So happy birthday.
87 years
87 years old. So do you have a birthday wish?
Yes.
What?
I celebrate my golden wedding anniversary
Oh.
when I am 100 years old
Oh, okay.
with Butch Anson Roa.
Yay! Okay, and then we also have Lorraine Sumulong. She is the granddaughter of Senator Lorenzo Sumulong Sr. And Erin Tanyada, very familiar face and name to me because we went to school together, the grandson and namesake of Senator Lorenzo Katani Tanyada, who was always known as the grand old man of Philippine politics, the grandest of them all, if you will, because he served from 1947, and from whom we borrowed the title of this episode. The title for episode is The Grand Old Men and Women of Philippine Politics. Now, Erin is also the reason why I have all 6 of you here. So, Erin, thank you very much for being our guest coordinator for this episode. Now, before we start, because we're showing the statement, but baka hindi nila mabasa mabuti. And I want them not just to read the statement, but to hear it. So I'm going to ask the 6 of you to read portions of the statement one by one. So we're going to begin with Ma'am Maris.
This is not the Senate we once knew. The mothers and fathers of our republic who sat in that chamber did not hunger for applause, nor chase spectacle, nor beg for the fleeting worship of the crowd. They understood that public office was not theater. It was duty, sacred duty. They entered the Senate hall prepared, having studied the bills before them, mastered the issues confronting the nation, and disciplined themselves for the hard labor of governance. They knew that the people's trust could not be stolen through noise or performance. It had to be earned through competence, integrity, and sacrifice.
They guarded the people's money with the vigilance of honest men because they understood that every centavo in the treasury was wrung from the sweat, toil, and suffering of the Filipino people. They debated fiercely, not to enrich themselves or protect political patrons, but to craft laws worthy of a free and dignified nation. There were no rehearsed displays of piety, no public weeping, no vulgar theatrics, no shameless scrambling for attention, no drama masquerading as patriotism. Only work, honest work, patriotic work. And when they died, they left this world with their honor intact, their names unsullied by plunder, untouched by corruption, unshadowed even by suspicion. Their Senate was an institution the Filipino people could look upon with pride.
But this Senate stands disgraced before the nation. A great number among the majority walk beneath the dark cloud of accusations so grave that any decent republic they would compel shame, resignation, or prosecution. Plunder, obstruction of justice, abuse of power, even crimes against human life itself. The Senate, once the forge of our laws, has become a refuge for those who brazenly violate them.
Count them. Count the lawmakers who have become lawbreakers. Count the men and women who invoke the Constitution while desecrating its spirit. Count those who demand the people's respect while proving themselves unworthy of it. And then ask yourselves, is this a Senate to admire or a Senate to mourn?
Yes, they possess the numbers. Some even wield power from prison cells, from hiding, or from the shelter of political alliances. But numbers do not confer honor. Power does not erase disgrace, and no majority vote can cleanse moral rot. They dishonor the republic. They degrade the institution they pretend to defend, and by their conduct, they insult every Filipino who still believes that public office is a public trust.
Yet, let them not mistake our patience for surrender. They are not untouchable, and we are not powerless. They are but a handful clinging desperately to authority. We are with the millions who still remember what honor looks like. History is never kind to those who mistake impunity for permanence. The Filipino people have overthrown greater arrogance than this, and they will do so again.
And how quickly did you all sign this?
Very fast.
Very fast.
Well, there was an initial draft, and then, of course, we had to get consensus from from members of the family, and then that's when they said, "Let's tweak it a little." We tweaked it, sent it back, and then that's when everyone started to agree.
Oo, and it dated June 1, that very same day, ha? Okay. Parang para hindi maiwanan ng panahon. Okay, my first question for everybody will be a general question, and then I will go through each one of you. How old were you when these grand old men and women of the Philippine politics were in the Senate? So I'll start with Ma'am Maris. So Ma'am Maris, your father, of course, and this is for the younger generation watching, paki-Google na ha, or chat GPT nyo na, Jose W. Diokno or Pepe Diokno. Okay? He was a senator from 1963 to 1972. Hindi po siya nakabalik ng Senado dahil sa
Hinuli
revolution. Diba? Dahil sa
He was arrested.
arrested
and
in
then
72. Martial law. And then, nung EDSA People Power, tapos 1987 elections,
He passed in 1987.
in February, just
February.
3 months before the
Yes,
elections. And at the age of 65, ang bata pa niya, no?
very young,
So
very
he could have done so much more for this country.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's very young. Cancer.
Cancer, yeah, okay. But at least he saw the 1986 EDSA revolution. Ma'am Maris, I wanted to ask you, so you were 9 years old when he became a senator.
Okay, that
Yeah.
truth about our age. Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Compute,
sorry.
compute.
Would you like us to edit?
No, 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 no.
I-bleep namin yung 9.
No, I'm good. I'm retired na.
Yeah, oo. Mukha kang ang younger than
Ayo,
Shell.
oo nga. Okay.
So, and then you were about 19 when, in 71, 72, when he was arrested. Tapos nag-martial law, di ba? What is that one memory, that one recollection that you will never, ever forget of that time?
When Dad was in the Senate, he worked nonstop. That's what I remember as a child, because sometimes we would go to the Senate, the old Senate, no,
Yeah.
the old legislative building. We would pick him up.
Yeah, the old legislative building, which is now
The National Museum.
National Museum.
But we would go there,
Yeah.
and we would be running around na lang the hallways, eh. Kasi it's malapit na, but he would be working. So he took his job really
Really seriously.
seriously, because
Yeah.
he always told us you have to fight for something that's greater than yourself. And you have to take that seriously.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember.
Oo. And there's a lot of hard work. Hindi siya basta,
And remember
You
noon,
can't
walang
just-
mga technology ngayon.
Oo.
Kung mag-research ka,
Oo.
talagang
Libro,
the
papel.
old-fashioned way of
Papel.
going to the
Libro.
library,
Nagbabasa.
going
Kailangan
through the books.
magbasa.
No ChatGPT summaries, nothing like that.
no Google,
You
etc.
read everything. And then you interviewed people and you had to talk to them face to face. Walang Zoom. So there was a lot of it was serious work.
Very serious
Yeah,
work.
very
And you say was. How sad, no? Was. Parang ngayon hindi
Was,
masyado.
was. Ngayon hindi na, drama.
Drama. Okay. Ma'am Guy Estrada Claudio, niece of Eva Estrada Calao. So she was senator from 65 to 72. And she was one of those opposition figures who helped dismantle, was instrumental in the downfall of Marcos Sr. What do you remember about that time that she was senator?
The same, almost ang timeline namin ni Maris, pati age. So I was about 8 or 9. By 1 year.
year.
So big difference. So I remember my mother was her speechwriter and my mother was a UP professor because
Your mother's first name was?
Rita Estrada, Domingo Estrada. But it was also because she was head of the education committee at one point. And so it was very important to her to really listen to professors. So because of my mom, she had access to every single discipline, professor, College of Education, for example. So it's just reiterating that they really took their work
Very
seriously.
seriously. Yeah.
They listened to the stakeholders. They listened so that they could craft good policy. So I would remember Tita Eva coming to my house, sitting with my mom for hours while they crafted speeches, bills, etc. And just one more, Pia, kasi
Yes.
exciting times.
Yeah.
The other thing that I can't forget was the Plaza Miranda bombing because my dad naman was a doctor. So the minute he heard of the bombing, he took me along. Pre-med na kasi ako noon. And we went to PGH looking for my aunt. And she did have shrapnel. She was also one of the wounded. But the minute we saw her she was saying, si Jovi. She was so concerned about everybody else
Yeah.
of
Okay.
her colleagues. Walang politika masyado. She didn't care, right? She was so despite her own difficulties and danger. She was telling my dad, you look for everyone that was on that, forget me na, I'm okay na, go look. And she was, of course, very concerned for Senator Salonga, who did indeed experience the worst of the Plaza Miranda bombing. So I can't forget that. And then I was also sitting, then Ninoy Aquino came in, all in a fluster, really bothered. And then also making the rounds, looking for all of them and making sure of the care. So this shouting at each other in the Senate now, this screaming at each other, impossible.
The crying.
The crying. And also the fact that they don't care. They would rather stab each other in the back at this point than give each other the time of day, right? This was not possible, I think, during the time of my aunt.
Okay. You know, very briefly, again, for the young people who are watching and listening to this podcast, Ma'am Guy was referring to the Liberal Party rally. But I'm sorry, Meeting de Avance. It was a Meeting de Avance of the Liberal Party in 1971, Plaza Miranda. So you guys, you young people, you ChatGPT or Google, Plaza Miranda bombing LP rally. Okay. Let's go to Sir Francis Manglapus. So your father, Raul Manglapus, senator from 61 to 67, 1961 to 1967, and June to October 1987, and then appointed foreign secretary by former President Cory Aquino. So, sir, you were around 6, correct, when he became senator? Is that right?
That's correct.
Or you weren't born yet?
I was 6.
By a whole 3 years. What a big difference.
By the way, her father was my dad's best man, proxy in the wedding in Washington right after the war.
Right after.
Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, I was 6 years old when he finally won. He had run twice before, so that was actually his third try. And he finally made it. I was 6 years old then, and he stayed for one term. So from 6 to 12
Yeah.
was my age the time that he was in the Senate.
Okay. And what is that one memory or two, if you want to share, that one recollection you will never or ever forget of that time?
Well, like both of them, I distinctly recall how much preparation he had to do. Same thing. In his bedroom, right beside his bedroom, we had a library with books and so forth and so on. And he was involved in like them landmark legislation that you have to be prepared for. Land reform, decentralization, even organizing better fiestas, very controversial. So they had to be very, very well researched. And I remember as a little kid walking into the room, he was with books and with all his aides going in and out, really, really studying and preparing for the issues, because not only were they important, he was up against other senators that were extremely sharp. So kung wala kang alam dyan, halatang-halata,
Talaga?
You had to really
So
prepare. You had to really
Yeah.
prepare. So that's the distinct memory I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Going into that room and seeing all of these books, wala pang and the aides coming in and out with research to prepare for his role in the Senate.
Kumbaga parang hindi siya, it's not really a glamorous job. No such thing as grandstand. You can only grandstand if you've done your homework. In
yes,
other words,
yes,
diba?
yes.
Okay. Si Sir King Rodrigo naman. So sir, your father, Senator Soc Rodrigo, senator from 1955 to 1972, like Pepe Diokno and Eva Estrada Calao, correct? So you were 16 when your father became senator. And all those years, 17 years that he was a senator, what is that one memory, that one recollection you'll never ever forget of this time? And it's so interesting kasi everybody else was a kid, no, when their fathers or tita became senator. Pero kayo, teenager ka na, so medyo may pagka-rebelde na kayo, ganon.
Di naman.
Di naman.
First, let me correct. Dad
sorry.
was a senator from 1955 to 1967. He lost his third
sorry,
re-election
55 to
bid.
67.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
No, you're correct. I was 15 years old. At ang problema, nung 15 years old kami, Daddy always said, alagaan nyo ang pangalan ko. So at 15, I was already driving. Of course, I had to fake my age.
You were driving na.
Pero it
Eto na,
was
umaamin
really,
na.
it was really difficult because hindi ka pwedeng mag-overspeeding. Dahil sasabihin ng tao, yabang nito, numero 7 kotse, kaya mabilis. Hindi ba?
Numero 7. For the
And,
senator.
for the Senate, yes.
Sir, the microphone.
So I did not use that number 7. Nang pwede ako kumaskas ng konti, hindi ba? Ang hindi ko malimutan sa Daddy, when he became a senator, he closed his lucrative law office. Sabi niya, I don't want to be accused of using my office as a senator to attract clients. And I remember when I became a lawyer in 1965, I went to him. Sabi ko, Dad, buksan mo na ulit. Nandito na ako. Diba? Tutulong ako sa'yo. I will be the workhorse. Sabi niya, not as long as I am a senator. So for 12 years, wala siyang law office. Nung matalo siya, doon kami nag-umpisa ng Rodrigo Law Office. As for the debates, tama sila. lahat ng mga senador noon, they believe that preparation must exceed necessity. Hindi ka pwedeng pumasok doon na hindi ka handa. I remember Daddy tangled with Claro Emerecto on the Noli Fili bill. And that was when Daddy was labeled as anti-Rizal.
Talaga. What was
Because he
that? Ano yung issue doon?
It was a bill to mandatory reading of the two novels of Rizal.
Oh, no wonder we suffered through it. Okay.
And Daddy opposed that, not the reading of the two novels, but the compulsion aspect of it.
Okay.
Sabi niya, gusto ko basahin nyo yan, pero hindi dahil inuutos sa inyo. And there was a long debate about that. Ang extraordinary thing about that bill was this: 21 of the 24 senators co-authored that bill, led by Claro Emerecto.
Okay.
Ang tatlo lang hindi pumirma doon, si Senator Cuenco, Senator
Cebu.
Rosales, and my dad. So sabi ng iba, sigurado na ito, papasa na ito. But they argued, they studied, they presented their arguments to the people. They went around the Philippines arguing against that. And finally, there was a compromise. Walang compulsion. So, yun ang ano. You should have seen that debate.
Wow. If only we could have.
English, Tagalog. Claro Emerecto was fluent in Spanish. Yes.
Oo. And very, very intellectual, very smart. No?
Yes.
So walang drama doon. Walang iyakan.
Walang sigawan.
Walang sigawan.
Walang murahan.
Walang murahan.
Siguro may transcripts, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Translation.
I'm supposed.
Yeah.
I suppose as a Senate journal meron siguro.
We should resurrect that. Okay, Lorraine Sumulong is here also. Lorraine, your grandfather, your lolo, Lorenzo Sumulong. What did you call him? Lolo what?
Entrom.
Lolo Enchong. So, correct me if I'm wrong. Senator from 1949 to 1967 and 1969 to 1972. So you were a toddler then, 1972. Do you have any memory of the time with your lolo? Or parang nalaman mo lang na, senador pala lolo later on? And
Yeah,
what was
I
it
really
like?
had none. I mean, I just part of the family lore na when he was campaigning for that last campaign, the whole family was in Channel 7. Umpisa pa lang yung TV campaigning. So I participated in that.
Do you have a tape of that?
We're still trying to look for the tape, but I
okay.
was there. My only contribution was cuteness. I was apparently a very hungry baby, and so that's all I did there.
Oh, cute naman.
But yeah.
At least may contribution ka.
Ah, yun.
Okay. Oo. But later on, did you ever talk to him about him being a senator?
Oh yeah, because syempre you grew up around all of that. I grew up, my dad's office had all of your parents and uncles and grandparents' pictures. There's all over the house, all over my dad's office. So we grew up around all of that, and we were proud. We were proud of that legacy. But yeah, I mean, and I also, like everybody else, my lolo surrounded by books.
Okay. And palagi nag-aaral, palagi
palagi
nagpe-prepare.
nagbabasa.
Okay. All right. That's so good to know. And the cuteness contribution, of course. Okay. Erin Tanyada, also a former Congressman Kong Erin Tanyada. Erin, syempre your grandfather, Katani Lorenzo Tanyada, Senator, uninterrupted 24 years from 1947 to 1971. For the young people, again, Google or ChatGPT, look up Lorenzo Tanyada. He was 51 and bowed out at
47
47,
when he started.
and then bowed out at
73.
73. And then he was known as the grand old man of Philippine politics. You were born in 1963. At what point when you were a little boy did you realize that, senador pala si Lolo?
I think it was already towards the end of his term in 1970-71. There was a big party given by the Senate. Of course, the family was invited, and they gave him a testimonial dinner. And I remember this was held in Philippine Plaza, and they gave...
What year again was this?
1971.
71.
And they gave him a replica of a resolution by the Senate commending his works. So it was a big plywood.
Wow.
at
Where
the
is
time.
that?
I think it's with LaSalle right now, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Why LaSalle?
Lolo is a graduate of LaSalle.
Ah, okay. Animo
But he
LaSalle,
sent
yes.
all
Yeah.
his sons
to Ateneo. And the grandsons went to Ateneo also. Okay.
And well, at least now I teach in LaSalle.
Oh, okay.
So
Full circle.
Full circle, full circle.
Okay.
So that was when I realized that Lolo was a senator, and at the same time, hindi mo maiwasan na maraming pumupunta sa bahay. We would see Lolo kasi we didn't live in the compound. We would see him every 2 weeks. No, may big reunion, and even during the reunions, meron pa ring bisita sa bahay. Na nakipagkonsulta from the different sectors. But I think the common denominator, katabi ng kwarto ni Lolo, like everyone said, is their study. No? Their library. And so when I'm sure, the same story also, they wake up at 4 in the morning and start already reading. Reading. So that was the training that I think the old senators really had. They had to be prepared. They had to know their facts, no? So para pag harap sa mga kasamahan nila sa Senado, pwede silang makipagdebate.
So in other words,
Wala fake video.
not fake video. And being a senator pala is serious work.
It's serious work. Serious work.
Okay.
At alam mo kung magkano sweldo ng senador noon?
Oh, magkano nga ba?
700 pesos a month.
Oh, okay. What is the equivalent of that today?
Today, I don't
No,
know.
no. Yeah. Google, ChatGPT.
And not only that, no. The rule then was you could not spend for your campaign more than 1 year's emolument. So 7 times 12 is about 8,400 pesos is all you could spend for
Okay.
your campaign.
Yeah. At ngayon, magkano na, no?
Wow,
Hundreds of millions to a billion already. And Erin, you're the only one who was named after him, no? Or meron pa bang?
Well,
sa mga
my,
apo?
my being Lorenzo III was by accident. Because si tatay naman hindi junior eh.
Oo, he's Wigberto.
He's Wigberto.
Yeah. The Lorenzo Jr. is Attorney Tits
Yes.
Tanyada, who's
was
in
with
ABS. Yeah.
And my dad got married before Tito Tits.
Ah, okay.
And my birthday landed near Lolo's.
August
August 10
6.
si Lolo.
Yeah.
August
16,
16.
ikaw.
Kami ni Maris.
Oo nga, pareho pa kayo. Your birthday twin.
Yes.
Okay. So, nakuha ng dad mo. Gawin na natin Lorenzo.
Nagpaalam siya.
Ah, okay.
Nagpaalam.
Kay sa lolo mo or
Hindi,
kay
Tito
Attorney
Tits.
Tits?
Yes.
Ah,
Kasi
okay.
usually the junior carries the line.
Yeah, oo.
So, sabi naman ni Tito Tits, hindi siya sigurado kung mag-aasawa siya.
Aha.
So,
Okay.
sige na.
Yeah.
Pero he later on got married and my cousin became Lorenzo IV.
Ah,
So, wala
okay.
na sa linya ko.
Yeah.
I did name my son Lorenzo.
Lorenzo. Why not? Lorenzo the Fifth.
Masyado marami ng Lorenzo.
Yes, ano marami. At saka yung, di ba, sometimes when you're named after someone like that, di ba, parang bang
Maraming
grabing pressure.
expectations.
Expectation na
Oo.
parang you should be as brilliant as your lolo, yung mga ganon.
Kaya
Di ba?
nga, kaya.
Hello everyone! Ako po si Baus Rufo, ang host ng podcast na Kaya Pa Ba? Ang pinakabagong talk show kung saan tinatanong namin kung kaya pa nga ba talaga? No, it's an interview show featuring my favorite content creators, celebrities, or just my favorite taga-benta ng turon. Who knows? Go listen to it now on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
My next question naman, again, for everybody, is this, no? So that was the past. It was really nice to listen because it sounds very reassuring. Okay? So yun yung sinasabi kong digging up the past na maganda. So we'll fast forward to 2026. So we have what we have today, the Senate. And my question is, if your grand old men and women of Philippine politics were alive today, and if they witnessed what happened in the Senate, what would they have said? So let's start with Ma'am Maris. What would Pepe, the great Pepe W. Diokno, have said?
You know, I remember distinctly during martial law, Dad would tell us that with all the changes we wanted, life would be better after martial law. that leaders would be yung talagang tunay na leader, no? At yung pamamalakad sa pamunuan, all of these would not be what we had experienced. So, thinking of that, I know he would be angry, but above all, I think what he would feel, deep, deep disappointment. Kasi kung titingnan natin yung edad ng mga senador, marami sa kanila, hindi naman matanda eh. Bata pa eh. And nag-umpisa sila bilang politiko as young men and women. And I think that if Dad were alive, what he wanted was not that this generation would be like them, but that this generation would be better than them.
Better than that.
Better. That he had that talagang supreme hope in the future of our country, in young people, na kung sino man ang magiging leader natin, magiging mas mahusay, mas mahal ang ating bayan, mas masilbi sa tao. All of these. And what you see now, it's not, you cannot even say it's the opposite. It's, none of this exists at all. And I think what's terrible is that these I don't know, what do we call them? Creatures. These human creatures.
They're senators also.
Okay,
They're
senators.
senators, yeah.
They get away. They get away with it. No, unthinkable. It was unthinkable that you would have high crimes. I mean, when you think about the Senate, it's the upper chamber of the legislature, no? So you would think people who would sit there, okay, maybe they have different intellects, they have different, pero no one is or should be a criminal. No crime against humanity of murder, which is taking people's life, no?
Illegal possession of firearms.
Yeah, plunder. I mean, these are high crimes. Not yung pag-drive ni Tito King ng medyo di pa sa edad.
Speeding.
Hindi. Ito yung talagang mabibigat na krimen, no? Yung ordinaryong tao dito, magnakaw ng ewan ko, inaaresto, tinatapon sa bilangguan. Ang mga ito, ang ninanako, bilyones. No? So I think it would be immense disappointment na after all of this and trying to always, he says, his view was always, you will be better than the past. Or that's what he hoped. And we cannot say that now. Tragically.
Yeah. Ma'am Guy, Estrada Claudio, what would Eva Estrada Calao say?
Related to your how fast did we sign it, no? I knew I was willing to sign it, but it turns out my big and garrulous clan, each one representative of the clan I asked signed it quite easily as well. But why did I think this is easy to sign? Before she died, and Tita Eva, unlike your dad, lived till she was 90 plus. So she died recently. In the 2000s na.
She and I sat in the same board of the College of Education
Exactly.
Foundation.
Exactly.
Sat with her.
And so she was saying, if hindi na daw siya ever babalik sa Senado kahit they asked her or whatever, no, she was not gonna run ever again. And she was saying this consistently kasi sabi niya, isipin mo yung mga kasama ko sa Senado, they were giants. Joke, no? Yan na. The names of many of your guests here, no? And more. Tanyada, sabi niya. Hindi na ako babalik kasi yung mga nasa Senado ngayon, TV star, komedyante, walang alam, di ba? So she was saying, hindi ko nababanggitin kung sino, sabi niya, pati naman yung pinakamahina sa amin noon, magaling pa rin. Right? So,
Sino yun?
hindi ko na kayo, binanggit niya, pero
Ibang episode. Ibang episode na lang yun. Okay.
baka nakapirma pa nga dito, di ba?
Ay,
Okay.
grabe.
So she was already disappointed. But let me nuance that because I've also been bothered by calling them creatures and all this. Believe siya sa ilan sa mga senador noon.
Yeah.
So she would make that distinction, no? And one of the of course, she was tracking the women senators. And she really liked Risa Ontiveros. She thought that Risa did exactly the same kind of really hard work, listening to, understanding, listening, studying. Kaya believe siya. So I would also like to nuance what we've said in the statement, and I'm sure people here agree with me. Hindi naman lahat. Hindi naman lahat ng nasa Senado ngayon, like my Tita Eva would also make the distinction. Hindi naman lahat ay creatures, ika nga ni Maris, no? Some of them are real senators. No, some of them are creatures and some of them are senators.
Nag-isip nga ako, anong i-edit out natin dito? Anong i-bleep? Okay.
Okay. Yun lang yung marami siyang and maybe a funny incident. Ang komedyante na tinutukoy niya noon ay si Tito Sen. Okay. Pero in the end, he was able to get her respect
Yes.
as well. You can rise above it. So I think part of
At saka nag-aaral siya.
Nag-aaral,
Nagtatrabaho
no?
siya. Oo.
Aral. So part of her, kasi I don't think that she or any of them were snobs in the sense na yung aral lang ang pwede, yung mayaman lang ang pwede, yung atinista lang ang pwede. But she felt that there was a certain standard that you were called to. If you at all were elected, because people put their faith in you. Mag-ayos ka, umayos ka, gawin mo yung tama. And so, some senators earned her respect, but others said hopeless talaga. And she felt as many of us did, no, that some were really not worthy to be elected. There was no chance in hell that some of those currently sitting are going to make it at all. They don't have it in them to be true servants of people because they don't care.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sir Francis, what would Raul Manglapus have said if he were alive today?
Well, actually, he was already having a little premonition of what was going to happen right after EDSA. When he was campaigning for the first election for the Senate after EDSA. He already saw the direction. I mean, this is the effect maybe of mass media. That time, wala pa pero the TV, and he already saw the quality of that campaign at the time was kind of deteriorating. It's already starting. Singing, dancing, no serious discussion on issues. It was already happening. So, but then again, we're the Senate is a function of what society is right now. I mean, we have this social media that can be a plus, can be a minus. All popularity, there's no ideology, there's this discussion of that because it's not going to gain any traction. You have to do gimmicks. It's all gimmicks, So what happened in the Senate is a result of that. It's all gimmicks. It's all one-liners. No serious direction that this country really needs. It's all. I mean, we have issues with the West Philippine Sea, so many other economic issues. Nothing. It's all gimmicks and one-liners and power grabs and. But as I said, he saw it. He had an inkling of it going that direction already during that campaign when he said, what is this? This is not during their time when they would campaign. They would not sing or dance, or maybe a little bit. We play the ukulele or song. But now it's mga mocha girls. I mean, it's crazy. So I think that's what he would say.
The great Raul Manglapus. He already had a premonition back in 1987. Wow. Okay. And Sir King Rodrigo, what would Soc Rodrigo have said were he alive today?
Yes.
And then he would be watching TV and then seeing everything happening.
Alam niyo, nasabi na dito na ngayon masyadong nakawan sa Senado, Pero hindi yun ang masakit. Ang mas masakit, ninakaw nila ang karangalan ng Senado. And Daddy, being a poet, would have said something like this. Ang sino mang magnakaw ng aking kwarta ay nagnakaw ng basura. Ngunit ang sino man magnakaw ng aking karangalan ay nagnakaw ng isang bagay na hindi niya ikayayaman, ngunit ipaghihirap ko ng lubusan. That is what he would have said.
That's beautiful. Thank you, sir. Lorraine Sumulong, what would your Lolo Enchong, Lorenzo Sumulong, have said if he were
think-
alive today?
Yeah, I mean, my lolo, I don't know if you remember, he was the very first chair of the Blue Ribbon Committee. And he made his name investigating graft and corruption. So I think, like, I know that he would also be really deeply disappointed and angered by what's happening now. I think he really would be examining the rigor or lack thereof, of the investigations being done, regarding like flood control, because that's, I don't think anybody would have imagined that type of corruption, like numbers, like unimaginable numbers, happening right now. So I think that's what he really would be very focused and very angry about.
And if he had to have those 18, well, at first they were called ex-Marines, now they're called Maleta Boys or whatever. If he had them as resource persons,
Do not know, right? I mean,
The awkward
of
pause
course,
right there.
again, right? Like I'm a lawyer as well. Now,
Yeah.
I think that would be insufficient to pursue. I mean, you would have to dig deeper.
okay. Thank you, Lorraine. And Arian, what would Katani, Lorenzo Tañada, have said?
Well, he'll be greatly disappointed because I think their generation of senators respected the institution. No. If you look at the senators right now, not all, inuuna nila yung sarili nila eh. It seems that nauna yung self-entitlement kesa yung institution. And that's why the senators now, not again all of them, are transactional. What do I get out of whatever bill that I'm going to sponsor or whatever project that I can get for whatever constituency? So I think that is the sign that there was a shift from the Senate of the old to the present Senate, and which is really very sad because ngayon nakikita natin self-interest ni Alan Cayetano kung bakit ayaw niya mag-resign. Bakit ba hihintayin pa yung 13 na merong resolution na tatanggalin siya sa pwesto? Alam naman niya na wala na siyang kaharian bilang isang Senate President. So why wait for it? Why wait for the President to call for a special session? When he himself, if he believes in the institution, can resign and already move the Senate forward without waiting for other people to tell him what to do.
All right. Thank you, Erin. We are on our 43rd minute, so we're going to go through this last two questions very quickly as much as possible. So this one has to be a little bit off the top of your head. No? So the question is, I know this sounds funny. Was there ever a time na that you used yung pagiging anak o apo o pamangkin to get out of tight situations? Hindi kasama doon yung plaka, yung nag-overspeeding. So, pero yung totoo. But we'll start with Erin Tañada. So, Erin, di ba, hindi mo naman sinabi, don't touch me!
Hindi.
I'm the son of Bobby Tañada. I'm the grandson of Lorenzo Tañada.
No, hindi ko naman sinabi. Just to give context.
Yes, please, context.
Nagsasalita ako sa harap ng US Embassy merong
The year?
1988 January.
Okay.
And there was a L300.
Yeah. And this is
Mitsubishi.
Cory Aquino time, okay? Just for the young people watching and listening. Okay.
Anti-basis rally. And there was a L300 that suddenly went behind me because my back was towards the street. The door opened, I was pulled in, and tinakbo na yung L300. So akala ko na ito na, dahil alam natin during that part of the administration there was a lot of salvaging that was happening. Salvaging is the EJK before. No? So since Rojas Boulevard papuntang Cavite yung kung saan ako dinampot. Akala ko, doon ako makikita
Doon
na
ako
nasakit. But later on, 2 other students from PUP were also arrested. Sinama rin sa L300 dahil nag-U-turn yung L300.
Wait, but you were in college, ano,
I was in law
ka
school.
na? Okay.
I was in law school.
Okay.
And so, pinasok na kami sa Precinto 5 sa United Nations Avenue. I think that is now the new NBI today, or part of the new building of the NBI. And so, I was asking, since I was a law student, if I could call. No? Yung booking officer, matigas ang kwan dahil ayaw niya. So, tatapusin natin yung booking procedure. So,
And yung
the
booking,
usual.
again, for the young people who haven't been to jail yet, ito yung mugshot.
And all the information
Yeah.
that they
Okay.
needed, no.
Okay.
So name, etc., etc. So when it came to the father's name, Wigberto Tañada, profession or anong trabaho, senador. So the guy looks at me, and I asked him, "Can I call now?" So pinagbigyan na ako, no, na tumawag. Ako naman, tumawag lang ako kay tatay dahil nung panahon ng before EDSA, whenever we would go to rallies, I'd be with the student group, he would be with the multi-sect. We would always lead the leaders. I would make it a point to tell him that I was in the same rally, but I'm in the back.
Yeah.
With the,
Okay. And by the way, when you say, again, for the young people, when you called your dad, okay, hindi cellphone ang
Hindi
pinag-uusapan
cellphone.
natin dito.
Ito, rotary.
Rotary phone.
Rotary pa rin.
Landline.
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 Kulay, itim pa rin yung telepono.
Yung gumaganon, tapos kailangan bumalik bago mo i-dial
hintayin
yung
mo muna.
susunod. Okay.
So anyway, I called tatay to make the story short. Sinabi ko lang sa kanya, "Tay, hindi ako makakauwi na maaga." So sabi niya, "Bakit?" Dahil
Hindi pa siya alarmed or anything, ha?
Hindi pa,
Walang
hindi
ano.
pa. Ay,
tramado pa.
baka nasa isip niya, magde-date ako o ano, no, hindi ako
Okay.
uuwi na maaga. So sabi ko, nandito ako sa Precinto 5 na pick up ako. Ganun ba? So si tatay naman, may sense of humor. Senator, he was a newly elected senator. The election was May 1987. Sabi niya, under the new constitution, dahil senador na ako, hindi na ako makapag-practice.
Ang
No?
galing, ang galing. So, hindi siya tumakbo. Anak ko yan.
Hindi. So, sabi ko, hindi, alam ko yan. No? Gusto ko lang ipaalam sa'yo na baka hindi ako makauwi ng maaga dahil meron akong 2 estudyanteng kasama. Ayokong iwanan. So, yun lang.
Okay. Are you gonna tell the story of the other one? Hindi na.
Ha?
Wag na.
Wag na.
Wag na.
Oo, pero nakaupo ngayon sa Senate presidency yun.
Okay. O sige, Lorraine naman, did you ever use yung pagiging apo mo?
Not me. I was a very good girl. Not allowed kami.
Hey, what's wrong with you guys? You're all
Yeah.
so good.
Not allowed kami.
Okay. Not allowed, as in sinabihan kayo, ha?
Yeah.
Huwag
Can
niyong
never
gamitin.
use.
Galing. Okay.
Yeah.
Sir King?
Hindi, I never used dad's name. As a matter of fact, lahat ng kapahamakan ko sa buhay yata dahil sa pangalan ng daddy ko. Nabilanggo ako because of him, kasama ko. And I remember in 1972 when he was first arrested, siyempre sumama ako sa sasakyan ng pulis. Pagdating sa krame, pinasok na siya. O sabi ko, ako uuwi na ako. Dahil hindi niya naman ako hinuhuli. Wala naman ako sa listahan. Hindi, Rodrigo ka, maiwan ka muna rito.
Okay.
Yeah, so
How long were you?
For me, honestly, it was a big disadvantage. It
Okay.
really was.
Yeah.
To the point na pati ako, I did not want to live under the shadow of my dad. Alam niyo ba, ang first degree ko, BS Chem? Dahil I wanted to stay away from the shadow of my dad as far as possible.
BS
Until I
Chemistry.
found out it was comfortable under the shadow. So I became a lawyer.
And di ba earlier yung kwento nyo ayaw niyang paggamit yung law firm, di ba?
Ayaw,
Pinansara niya.
oo.
Only
That's
after
right.
na nagsenador siya. Okay. Sir Francis Manglapus, did you ever... Tatay ko
No.
si Raul Manglapus, gano'n. Siyempre, hindi.
I never had the opportunity, frankly, because when I was young, pinalis na ako eh.
pinalis? Where did you
They
go?
sent me to the States,
Okay.
to study there. Then
Okay. So hindi
nag-martial law, so...
So hindi umubra
after a
doon sa
while-
States yung
Ay, hindi.
anak ni Raul Manglapos, walang ganun.
Hindi.
Who you?
But seriously, I think one of the most important aspects of all of the families was integrity. The integrity was number one. In their minds, politics is an honorable profession. It's not para kumita. Okay? And I think that generation, whatever political party you were, that was number one. No? And he followed that to a T. I mean, there was even what they do now, appointing sons or daughters as chief of staff or that. My dad would never do that. You've got nothing to do with this. Let's not make it an enterprise.
Yeah.
Look what's happening now in the Senate. That's another thing. You have dalawang Villar, dalawang Cayetano, tatlong Tulfo, Estrada.
Okay.
I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah.
And if my dad were alive, he would say, this is ridiculous. How can you have an integrity when you're turning this into a family reunion? I mean, what is this? So that is integrity very crucial.
Yeah. So
carried that even when he was in private sector. In fact, when he was appointed during the time of Ramos and PNOC, he would people would try to go through me to get a contract, and he would say directly, if I ever hear my son involved in any contract, even here, I will resign my office. Very important, integrity in public service.
Yeah. Okay. So in the language of young people today, you were not a nepo baby. Yeah.
Born too early.
Understand that. Born too early.
Sayang.
Ganda ng mga soundbite na ngayon. Okay. Ma'am Guy.
Nepo babies.
Ma'am Guy, Estrada Claudios. Eva Estrada Calao, did you ever use yung pagiging pamangkin? Pamangkin ako ni Eva Estrada Calao.
Dalawang bagay ang Estrada family values, which of course I learned more through my dad than Tita Eva kasi siya ang nagpalaki sa akin yung tatay ko. Ano yun? Parang cringy. Yung
Cringe. Okay.
Ew,
Young people understand that.
Cringe
You young
talaga
people,
yung
you
gagamitin
understand the word
mo yan,
cringe.
no?
Parang, uy, nakakahiya naman.
Pero
ganon. Cringe. Okay.
ilalalad ko na nung anti-Marcos dictatorship, miyembro ako ng Communist Party of the Philippines. Hindi mo talaga ipagmamalaki na mayaman yung iyong pamilya. Kahihiyan yun.
Yeah,
Kaya
kahihiyan.
never ko nagamit. But one final thing, Tita Eva pala knew all the while that I was in danger. Kasi senador siya eh. So when finally bumagsak na ang dictatorship, nag-uusap na kami ulit. Siya pa rin ang Burgess politician, ako pa rin hindi na ako komunista, pero she had kept track of me and she said, you know how many times you were in danger, ganyan. Alam ko. And yet talagang hindi siya nakikialam, walang paggamit ng poder niya to reach out. I guess if I was gonna die, she would have helped. Parang ganon. Another final thing. I became Dean of the College of Social Work and Community Development of UP. She never told me until other faculty told me. The sponsoring law that made that college possible was sponsored by her. So baliktad pa nga hindi yung ako ang pamangkin. Yung iba pa ang nagsasabi sa'yo na ito ang ginawa ng tiya mo. So sa amin talaga, bad manners talaga yung mag-name dropping ka. Ano yun? Ew.
Ganon.
Oo. Okay.
Ew.
So yun lang.
Yan. Nice
Soundbite
soundbite.
ba yung ew?
Oo. Cringe and you. Ganon. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And Ma'am Maris.
No, it was never, I never used the name, no? In fact,
Yeah.
yung kinikwento ni Tito King that it was your father who told you, don't do anything to sully our name. With us, it was mom after dad passed. Sabi niya, you won't get much materially from your father, but the one thing you will get, which
Pangalan.
nothing can buy, yun ang pangalan niya. And I expect each of you children, and I suppose all the future generations, no, to respect that name. During our time pa, of course, I will not say it because it might be scandalous. I'm a retired professor, but it was hard to do kalokohan before. Kung malaman nila na anak ka, di ba?
Yeah.
I remember,
Oo.
di ba?
Okay.
Si Francis, hindi niya alam yan. Nasa stage siya, kaya niyang gawin lahat.
Hindi
yun,
siya
pero-
nepo baby eh.
Oo. Yeah. nakakahiya noon. Talagang malaking bagay.
Okay. We're gonna wrap up the episode. And actually, I wish we had more time. Pero mas maganda nga yung ganito mabibitin yung mga tao. They will want more eventually. So my very last question, and then we will start with Ma'am Maris, and then we will end with Kong Erin. So what is that one lesson? And parang you try and make it, parang say it in one sentence. No? So what is that one lesson that you learned from these grand old men and women of Philippine politics that applies to today? Ma'am Maris?
For me, it was a clear idea of what is right and the courage to do it. That was the most important thing. And we went through a lot,
Yes.
so we know what we're talking about. No, but yeah.
Very important. A clear idea of what is right. Guy Estrada Calao.
Tita Eva ko kasi napreso. Pagkatapos niyang na-release, napreso siya ulit. Nag-exile siya sa home province namin, Pangasinan, for a long time. Na inasikaso lang niya yung mga daga na kumakain ng kanyang buko. But she never wavered in her insistence that the institution she served, the Republic of the Philippines and the Filipino people, were supposed to be served with respect. At saka yung mga sakripisyo niya, wala sa kanya yon, in the sense na yun ang gagawin mo para sa tao eh. Yun ang gagawin mo para dun sa institusyon mo, para sa republika, para sa pinaniniwalaan mo. Wala itong mga grandstanding na, wow, I went to jail, don't touch me. Hapong-hapo akong makapasok sa... Wala siyang ganyan. She never saw herself as a martyr and a victim, even if she had given so much to the nation. Kasi trabaho lang na pagsilbihan ng bayan.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir Francis?
Siguro, in his mind, he'd always be consistent. No, he would always say it's okay, it's good to have integrity, to be honest, but that's not enough. You need to have a political direction and a political philosophy to offer the people. Okay, integrity must be a given already. So, but unfortunately, we're still stuck there in integrity. But he would have liked to elevate the debate a little more. Let's discuss about political ideas, not just sinong hindi corrupt or whatever. Assuming walang corrupt, di ba? But unfortunately, that's not what we are faced with now. No.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir King?
We cannot emulate the virtues of our father, nephews, and grandfather. No, most of them are God-given. But there is one virtue of all of them that we can emulate, and that is moral courage. To do what is wrong even when the going gets rough.
Or to do what is right?
Yes.
You want to repeat that, sir?
Yes.
To
do what is right. Right. Sorry.
Even when the going gets tough. Okay. Moral courage.
Yes.
Okay, young people listening and watching, Google that. Moral courage. Okay. Lorraine Sumulong.
For me, because I've lived here in the Philippines, I've lived in the States, I've lived in the UK, and whenever I came across people who find out who my grandfather is, they always said to me, your Lolo was a statesman, not a politician. And I think that's that one word that
that's
that
nice,
captures what everybody here is saying. These grand old men and women of the Senate, they were statesmen and women, right? They were serious people who took on that mantle of responsibility, right, with the seriousness it deserved, and they worked hard, they prepared, and they conducted themselves with integrity. So that's it. Be statesmen and women and not politicians.
Statesman. Very important. Erin Tanyada?
I think ang nawawala ngayon sa ilan sa mga elected officials natin ngayon ay yung awareness na hindi mo pagmay-ari ang posisyon. No, the position does not belong to you. You are just given the privilege to sit there, and you have to always realize that you are here to serve the people and not your self-interest.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you very much to everyone here today. Ma'am Maris Diokno, Ma'am Guy Estrada Calao, Sir Francis Manglapu, Sir King Rodrigo, Ma'am Lorraine Sumulong, and Sir Kong Erin Tanyada. And I know this sounds funny, but we should also be thanking your fathers, your grandfathers, kaming mga hindi apo nila or anak. Dapat din magpasalamat sa kanila. So I would really like to thank Senator Jose Pepe Diokno, Senator Eva Estrada Calao, Senator Raul S. Manglapu, Senator Soc Rodrigo, Senator Lorenzo Enchong Sumulong, and Senator Lorenzo Catani Tanyada. Because without them, where would we be? Where would the Philippines be? And again, maraming salamat sa inyo. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. Very, very important. And thank you to those who watched and listened to Let's Talk. I'm Pio Ontiveros. I'll see you again soon. Bye.